Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jimmy. Today I'm showing you what it looks like to be traveling and living in France. From my previous videos, you can see this is not my first rodeo in France. Paris, the city of love, fashion and endless croissants. A dream destination for millions around the world. But behind this postcard perfect image, there's a side that most tourists or foreigners don't talk about. In this video, I'll show you both sides of France. The good, the bad, and the reality in between. But with all that freedom, you'll also run into street vendors trying to sell just about anything. And honestly, not all of them are legit. You've got scammers everywhere. People pretending to collect for fake charities, or those who try to tie a free bracelet on your wrist. Despite me having been here multiple times, Paris is indeed magical. Every corner looks like a movie set. The streets are filled with history, and you can feel the soul of the city with every step. From the cobbled streets of Champs-Élysées to the haute couture of Hermès and Louis Vuitton, Paris truly knows how to seduce. Step inside their boutiques and it feels like another universe. Clean, quiet, dripping in luxury. But just a few steps away, you're back in the real Paris, down in the metro, where the smell hits you before the train does. The Paris metro honestly feels like a time machine. You walk down those old town tunnels with the Art Nouveau signs, and it's like stepping back 100 years. The trains rattle, the walls peeling, and everything feels a bit worn out, like the city has been running on the same system forever. The smell of metal and dust just adds to it, and you can't help feeling like the metro is a relic of the past that's struggling to keep up with the modern world. In Paris, La Liberté isn't a slogan. The freedom of expression is in the graffitis covering old stone walls and buskers turning metro tunnels into concert halls. A far less romantic version of freedom is where some call the metro home. Honestly, it's a kind of heartbreaking liberté where one has the freedom to exist where the society has stopped. It is wild how one city can hold both worlds at once, romantic on the surface and chaotic running underneath. Taking the Flixbus from Paris to Lille gave me a real glimpse of everyday equality. I was sitting looking around the bus and noticing how diverse everyone was. Regardless of race, language or religion, everyone was sharing the same ride and hopefully paying the same fare. In today's world rife with racial and religious tension, for a few hours, it didn't matter where anyone came from or what they did. We were all equal in this little moving bubble until we reached our destinations. I booked an Airbnb in Lille, but it quickly turned into a lesson on inequality, the French version. I thought I was getting a decent apartment near the city center, only to realize I was overpaying. This apartment cost me €200 a night, and I had booked a place for about a week. The stench of sewers was unbearable, and I had to spend one night in a deplorable condition. It took Airbnb forever to get back to me in order to process my refund. I found out that it was the Braderie in Lille, which was why the apartment was so ridiculously priced. It is the free market at work, but also a quiet reminder that not everyone benefits equally. In a country that prides itself on Égalité, moments like this show you how easily equality can be turned into opportunity for profit. In France, equality is celebrated as an ideal, but for a foreigner or a tourist, the system reminded me that access to even basic standard of living often comes with a price tag you don't see at first glance. Equality is one of France's proudest ideals, but in reality, it's complicated. Everywhere you turn, you see glimpses of it. A public park filled with history or cafe. Perhaps France wants everyone to have access to culture, duty, and life's little pleasures. Monument-filled parks and streets lined with Haussmannian buildings are there for everyone to admire. Yet the luxury apartments inside these historical buildings are out of reach for most locals. The streets are shared, yes, but the opportunity and privilege are still concentrated in few hands. I love how easy it was to get a cold matcha and Japanese cakes. Sitting at a tiny cafe surrounded by locals, sipping coffee and people watching, it really felt like everyone could share in that simple joy of French life. Owning, maintaining, or restoring one of these beauties is a privilege few can afford. But I realized pretty quickly that not everyone is living the same version of Paris. The fraternity in France can be forged by shared activities. Just a few streets away, I stumbled onto a street circus. Simple activities help to strengthen community bonds, like a group of old men playing Pétanque, cheering and teasing each other like family. I'm quite sure that I'll be able to take a throw and suddenly I'm part of their afternoon. I came to La Cantine d'Hydro for what is supposedly the cheapest meal in Paris. The couple next to my table gives me a friendly nod as I entered the restaurant. The waiter tastes me for ordering the tourist dish, even though I sounded like a local speaking French. The atmosphere is warm, human, and it makes you feel like for a moment you belong there. Traveling to Chinatown in Paris, I think it's easier to find fraternity amongst people who eat like me. I think I would prefer a piping bowl of pho more than a plate of poulet rôti avec frites. Just when I thought things were pretty bad with the Airbnb episode, the Flixbus I was on was stopped by the French custom police. The driver told the Douane or custom police that he was Yugoslavian and that he do not speak any French. The driver also mentioned he was carrying passengers from Paris to Lille, yet the custom police insisted he pull over. Here we can see a personnel brandishing a MP4 machine gun as if the bus was filled with violent criminals. I was filming one of the custom police boarding the bus only to have him scream in my face, threatening to arrest me. I witnessed one of the most blatant racial profiling from the people who were supposed to uphold French values. The Arabic and black passengers on the bus had to empty every single item in their suitcases on the highway while standing behind a guy with a machine gun. The French national sport isn't soccer, it's protest. I found myself again in one of the most serious strikes in France. Some friends told me that you cannot be considered a real French unless you participated in a strike. To be honest, this is one of the most scary and life-threatening strikes I have seen. I've never seen so many gendarmes decked in full battle gear. While the protests may seem calm, French brotherhood here isn't quiet or polite. I was desperately trying to get away from the place as fast as I could because all you need is a spark and the whole place will turn into a war zone. Later in the night, while I was waiting for my bus to go back to Paris, I was approached by an Arab guy. He asked me if I spoke English and I said, yes, I do. The next thing he did was he lifted his jacket and showed me his gun.
My God!
My initial reaction was, good lord, please don't shoot me, I'll buy whatever stuff you are peddling. He then showed me his police badge and another white guy in full police gear appeared behind me. On the one hand, I was rather relieved knowing that I was not forced into buying any illegal stuff. On the other hand, I was seriously wondering if I'm getting arrested now for filming my YouTube videos. The police then demanded to see my passport. I explained to them that I left my passport in Paris and I do not have it on me. For some reason, I do not know why, but I keep repeating and demanding to see my passport, even though what I told them was extremely clear. One of the policemen wanted to detain me and put me in the French jail simply because I do not have my passport with me, despite me giving them my permis de conduire, driving license and Singapore ID card. I had a Shou Zhiqiu, CEO of TikTok moment where I had to explain where Singapore is when one of the cop walkie-talkied his superior asking if Singapore is a country. I even had to Google Singapore having the strongest passport in the world to prove it to him, to which he replied, oui, c'est ça. He kept requesting to see my visa even though I told him I don't need a visa to be in France. At this point, I told them I will miss my bus back to Paris and if they compensate my bus ticket or drive me back from Lille to Paris, then I really don't mind spending some time in the French jail so that they can do whatever investigation they wanted. The white police guy retorted that it was my problem if I do not get back to Paris. Furious, I countered that it was him giving me problems. If not for the police not doing their job correctly, I wouldn't have been almost pickpocketed of my passport. Leaving my passport in Paris was the right thing to do, and that he, like all other police personnel, should go and get the real criminal instead of trying to arrest me, a tourist. After showing him my digital copy of my passport and having him speak to a French client of mine to prove that I wasn't some illegal immigrant, he finally lowered his guard. He asked me if I spoke French, and I replied that I am not speaking French, lest he misunderstood me and throw me in prison. In defiance, I told him I'm not downgrading my nationality just to be French. He finally released me after I showed him I have a ticket departing in 2 days to DXB. Yes, I had to search DXB for him because he didn't know where Dubai is. France is indeed a beautiful country, but what I experience in real life contradicts the ideals of Liberté, Égalité and Fraternité. There is no perfect country in the world, I guess, but you have the ability to choose and live in the country that fits you the best. Have you experienced any drama while traveling or living in France? Feel free to share your story and comment below.